Hey, it's Thomas11. I've done videos on each of my Animal Crossing Xenoblade builds before, and since Xenoblade locations are so full of nature, these builds change a lot with the seasons, which is why I showed them all again in wintertime in one video. Now I'm going to do that again for Sakura season, my favorite time of year in Animal Crossing, to show how these builds look in the springtime with all the pink. So we'll start off with Eryth Sea, which I made a sign for here, and we got Melia sitting out in front of it. And then go in reverse order since the winter video, I think we ended at Eryth Sea, so this time we'll begin at Eryth Sea and go in the opposite direction. All of my Xenoblade builds are on the top half of the island, well, except for one, which is on the beach, the lower beach. So we'll be going from right to left for all these. And that's also the dream address for anyone that wants to visit. And yes, I misspelled Lotheria when making my island. So this is mostly going to be an overview of the builds. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them. If you want to see more detail on the ideas behind the builds, then you can see the original videos I did on each of these locations individually. So first up, Eryth Sea. Not a huge amount of changes for Sakura season since I have the cherry blossom branches out there year-round to be the coral trees that are around Eryth Sea. This is specifically Lateal Shore, the first landmark when you arrive at Eryth Sea in Xenoblade 1. One minor change I did is I added this pillar to represent Eryth Sea, how it is in Xenoblade 3, but other than that, it's still just Lateal Shore, which I don't think can be found anywhere in Xenoblade 3. There's nowhere that I recognize as being Lateal Shore, or if it is, then it's just one of the random beaches that has nothing particularly interesting on it. So this is mostly the Xenoblade 1 location, but just with that pillar to represent how it is in Xenoblade 3. And then these speakers, I forget, shell speakers I think, are supposed to be the Paguls, the hermit crab monsters. Over here is the transporter to Alchemoth. And Bubble Blower just to give it more of a sea feel. Next up on the cliff above that is the area that changes the most with each season, and that is Maktha Wildwood from Xenoblade 3. Since this is a heavy forest, I have a lot of trees, which means it changes a lot with each season, from the trees changing color. I almost said cheese changing color. So here is the Sparkling Pool Camp. Got lots of wide display cases with the lights turned off to be the abandoned, broken down buildings. And a cool thing here is it looks like the trees are growing out of the buildings like they're supposed to by having the wide display cases right up against the trees. Up here is Coat Falls Headwater. I've got a lot of glowing blue items to look like the glowing branches that hang over this location. And the confetti blower is just so it looks cool. I don't think it was really meant to be anything. Then cross this bridge and we arrive at Outlook Park from Xenoblade 1 and Future Redeemed, though this is more the Xenoblade 1 well taken care of version of it. Got Shulk and Fiora out there, sitting and enjoying the breeze. Since it's a very simple location, I put out the butterfly to give it a bit more life and color. I think I like this location more with the Sakuras than the more accurate green trees. Like, imagine Outlook Park, but there was Saffronia trees there. Saffronia trees make everything better. This isn't any Xenoblade location in particular, more just a transitional area that's loosely based around the area of Colony 9. Then skipping past a bit of stuff that's in between, here is Clume Farm in Torigoth from Xenoblade 2. Out there we have a look at what's supposed to be the neck of the Gormott Titan. I didn't really put much thought into that, so I just put some stone wall looking pieces out there. Looks a lot better at night when you can't see them as clearly, so it creates more of a silhouette instead of just looking like a plain rock wall. And this dino screen is supposed to be Relentless Ardoran, the baby Armu that you raise into one of the super bosses. Well, technically not a super boss, because don't think it follows the same rules as the super bosses, but it's practically one. Next up is the entrance to the Spirit Crucible Elpys on Fonset Island. This is the second most affected by the seasons because it's a forested mountain for a lot of trees, but not as many trees as Maktha Wildwood, since that's a really heavy forest. So this area is really cool with the mix of the green trees and all the Sakura trees in Sakura season. After that, we have the second to last Xenoblade build, Torn Capital Auresco from Torn of the Golden Country. This is mostly Torna Palace, but there's a little bit of the city in front of it here. This is the restaurant where you get the cooking competition quest from, one of the greatest quests in all of gaming. So as mentioned in the original video for this that goes into more detail about the build with the gardens here, I had to take a bit of creative liberty because of space. I couldn't make it the exact shape it's supposed to. It's not supposed to be symmetrical. The gate is actually supposed to be on the right side, with there being a lot more on the left. And I didn't have room to make the tower. And the last area I'll try to show a bit more quickly since my Switch is dying. There's not really any changes here for Sakura season. This area doesn't change much with the seasons at all because it's on the beach, so only wintertime does it really look any different. This is Sylvalum Hilal Meadow from Xenoblade X, and this area is best viewed from handheld camera mode where it looks more to scale, since these giant trees that I used the moss balloons for are supposed to be something like 50 feet high. So that's it for all my Animal Crossing builds of Xenoblade locations. If you want to see them more in depth talking about the builds, then check out the Animal Crossing playlist up on screen that has all of those. If you watched the end, comment Blossom Dance down below, and see you next time!